Hey y'all, sorry I'm late. I was having technical difficulties once again. I'm going to get it together next week. But hey y'all, thank y'all so much for joining me for episode 7 of the Book I Won't Write podcast. I am your host, Jahira Brooks. I'm going to start in like another minute since I already started late because of my technical difficulties. But if you're watching this live, make sure you like, tag, and share this video. If you are catching the replay, just hashtag replay for whoever's watching. I can't see, so just leave me a comment down below and say, hey, what's up? I'm going to get started in just a second. Our topic tonight is It's a Choice, and that's not going to take very long to discuss. But hey, y'all, thank y'all so much for tuning in week after week every Monday at 8. Usually, I always start at 8, but like I said, I was having technical difficulties tonight, which is why I started at 8:15. But I'm going to go ahead and get into it for those of you who are filing in. Again, the name of the episode for tonight is It's a Choice. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So what made me choose this topic on tonight? Because usually I won't get what I'm going to talk about until either the night before, or maybe sometimes it'll happen like throughout the week, but usually it's like a night before type of thing. But today I got what I was going to talk about things being a choice. You have, hey Bertha, how are you? So you have to choose to be happy. A lot of times we go through things and we're depressed and we're anxious and we don't want to get out the bed. We don't want to clean up around the house. We're just in a funk, and it can be so hard to move when you get into that space. But what I found out is that it has to be a choice. You have to make a conscious decision and put forth the effort to do what it is that you need to do. And I know it can sound difficult or impossible, especially regardless of what it is that you're going through. Because me personally, I don't want to hear nobody tell me to just get up and move. But I was reminded of, when you're sick and you can have the flu or COVID or whatever the case may be, and the doctor will tell you that you need to exercise, you need to move around, but your body, the only thing you want to do is just lay around and go back to sleep or pop a Benadryl or whatever the case may be. But by you being active, you shake yourself out of the sickness that you're in, and you're able to get better sooner rather than you just laying there in your circumstance. And it's the same way in life. You have to you can't stay in a pity party. You can't stay in that depressed state. You have to get up and do something. And the best time for you to do that is when you really don't want to, when you really just want to snooze every alarm that you have. For me personally, I had cleaned up around the house today because usually I can always tell when I'm off or when I'm depressed without realizing it by looking at what my room looked like. Baby, room look a mess. Just looked like I was trying to figure out where I was going every day this week and didn't know, and just threw the whole closet onto the bed, onto the floor. It just looked a mess. I'm just being honest, being transparent, because that was my situation. That was my life for the moment. But I had to realize, Howard, you gotta shake back. You gotta get out of this funk you're in. So even though I didn't feel like cleaning up or hanging up stuff or cleaning up the kitchen, I did it anyway. And I still have more stuff to do, but I had to hop on the live for tonight. And even this, just going live tonight, honestly, I didn't want to get on here and do this. Usually I try to have the episode cover put out by like 12, no later than 3. I think I might have did it at like 2 something, got on Canva and threw it together. But even that was a press for me, because today was just an off day for me. I just didn't feel like doing nothing. I would have much rather had just got my baby and just went to sleep. But I knew that I had something to do. I knew that this is something I said that I would do each and every week at 8, and people actually tune in and they want to hear what it is I have to say, whether they tune in the day of or whether they catch the replay. And the inboxes I get saying how something I said encourages people, that pushes me to keep going in spite of me not wanting to do something sometimes. So yeah, me putting on makeup, that's a choice as well, because a lot of times what helps me to feel better is when I look better. I promise you, I was gonna come on here barefaced today, but when I said when I said that I was going to start doing a podcast, I talked to Christina and I talked to Pastor. I was like, should I just be my regular face, or should I put makeup on? Because, you know, the camera gonna be going and I just feel like this is gonna end up going somewhere. So should I put makeup on? They was like, well, what do you want your brand to represent? How do you want to look? How do you want to present yourself? And then I said, all right, I guess I'll get in the habit of putting makeup on, because anybody who knows me knows this is the only day I put makeup on during the week. But I made the choice, I made a conscious decision that I was going to put my best self forward, put my best foot forward. Not to say that bare face ain't cute or whatever, but what I wanted to represent was, even though sometimes I get on here and it's a press for me and I may not want to be on here or do a live every Monday because of something that may have happened either that same Monday or later on in the week, I still choose to put my best face forward and get on here and do what my assignment is, and that's to go live every Monday at 8. So you have to just get in the habit of pushing past what you don't want to do. And a lot of times when you push past what you don't want to do, you'll find, you know, blessings on the other side, because you push your best foot forward and you got out of your zone of comfortability. And another thing, what was I about to say? Another thing, with that picture I posted for my cover, I believe we were doing a fast. I think it was like a 7-day fast, might have been, because we always fasting at my church. And one thing we're going to do, we're going to pray, we're going to fast. I'm sure I just said that before. We fasting now. 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Water only. And everything in me wanted to drink some Kool-Aid today. And I'm not going to lie, because water and the Kool-Aid packet and sugar is water, you know. So I took a sip and I was like, I felt convicted. I said, all right, let me chill. And I ain't eat nothing. I could have, but I didn't. And that was a choice. Because I understand that by me fasting, by me making the sacrifice of not eating for a set period of time, and for me to pray and study and hear from God clearer, that's going to benefit me way more than the spaghetti and garlic bread that I cooked last night. So it's not like I just had to drink water all day. And even if that was the case, because we've done a fast like that, I understand that the spiritual and the natural benefits from that will be far greater than that temporary satisfaction of me eating. So like I was saying, the picture I posted, we were fasting then too. And I want to say that was in like 2022 or 2021. I think it might have been 2022 though. And for me, I had been in such a depressed state at that time. I'm like so much better now in 2024 than I was in 2022 and 2023. Like those were the worst years of my life, specifically 2023. But I'm making it on the other side of that now. But for me then, my goal for myself was to put earrings on, because as long as I have earrings on, you know, I feel like I tried. I feel like I put in effort. And one time, my hair was so nappy one day. It was a couple months ago. And Pastor saw me, and I was so upset because she told me to come outside, but she was calling for Christina because we were at the Sway Lab. Shout out to Aroma Sway. We were at the Sway Lab, and she was like, oh, you can come outside too. But I looked like a bum that day, y'all. I had on sweatpants. I had on this big shirt. It looked like I had on my daddy's shirt. I looked a mess. My head was not done. I just looked terrible. I did not try. I wasn't trying to try. I ain't kidding about it. And then she was like, you need to do something with yourself. You need to get your hair done, because you look a mess. You look like a bum. And this ain't it. What you got going on? You depressed? And I was like, Pastor, first of all, you ain't had to talk to me like that. That's why I didn't want to come outside. You wasn't even supposed to see me. Okay? And then one of the most encouraging things that she's taught me is that, you see me, I don't look like what it is that I go through. And I was like, well, Pastor, that's good for you at first in my mind. But then I was like, you know what? Pastor probably go through so much stuff. And she do go through so much stuff. But for her to come out the house, look at how she be looking. Like every time I see her, she got makeup on just about. And her hair be done. And she be looking put together, got jewelry on and everything. She don't look like she go through nothing. And then it's like me, when I go through something, baby, it's going to show. You know how you feel away and it's showing your face? I'm that type of person. It's going to show on my face. It's going to show by how I'm looking. If my head ain't done, I ain't finna have on no clothes for real. Because I just feel like if your hair not done, why are you cute? You see? But I had to make the choice that, you know what, let me do something to my head. let me start putting some clothes on. Because me personally, I wear sweatpants every single day. I wear some shorts every single day. If I could wear a muumuu everywhere I go, I do that. Some people do that, and it's cool for them. And I would very much so like to be one of those people. But how I choose to represent myself, it's not in that manner. So not knocking nobody who does. This just not what I'm gonna do. But so I make an effort to, at least put some earrings on, even if I don't feel like nothing. I made the effort. I was pressed for time, and I was like, I'm not finna put any makeup on today because that's just doing too much. And I feel like I'll be running late, and then my computer's acting slow too. So I was like, but I said I committed to, putting makeup on every time I go live. This episode 7. Y'all done got 7 days of me putting makeup on. Okay. I don't, me regularly, like I said, I don't do this, but I made a choice because it does make me happy at the end of the day that I even know how to do my own makeup. That's a blessing for me. I used to pay to get my makeup done all the time whenever I really, really wanted it done. But now that's a skill set that I've acquired that I can do for myself. As far as choosing to be happy, it's not going to be an easy process because you're so used to sitting in the state that you're in when you are depressed, when you don't feel like moving and doing anything or getting anything done. And in those moments, you have to have grace because you may show up for yourself one time, right? And then when something else hits, when life hits really hard, then you go back into that space of, I don't want to do anything. I just want to lay in the bed. I don't want to get up. I'm finna ignore everybody. I'm not texting nobody back. I'm not finna move. When I had postpartum, like super, super, super duper bad, I didn't do anything. I would not move. I would not get up. I was so complacent. I didn't want to do anything. If my baby needed something, I didn't even have the strength to get up and do that. I was just so like shot. My nerves were shot. My brain was shot. I didn't have it in me to do. And then I remember one time at the apartment that me and my husband were in at the time, the house was a mess. And then we had a conversation one day, and he was like, you could just do bits and pieces. But me at the time, I just do it all at one time. And then my feet would end up swollen and I'd be hurting later. But it just made me happy to go ahead and get it done. So I clean up the whole house, honey, from the rooter to the tutor. Whole house be done, be clean. I'd be burnt out afterwards. It take me another couple days to finally get up again. But it was something that brought me joy. I chose to, go ahead and clean up. Because that way, maybe I can think better. Maybe I can function better. Maybe you can function better, and we cool now. But it's just all about making a conscious effort to change. And like I said, it won't always be easy. You may start one time, right? And then you don't do it again for another 2 or 3 times. But as long as you're consistently trying, then eventually it will be easier for you to choose to be happy. It'll be easier for you to choose that you're not going to let something bother you. I believe it was something happened last week and maybe the week before that usually would have irritated me. And don't get me wrong, I was irritated. And I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they told me, Jahira, but you don't realize that this is how this person is. So you're really not, you shouldn't even be frustrated, because usually you wouldn't be frustrated because you understand who this person is. But it's just the situation that you're in is causing you to be irritated. And I had to take a step back and say, you're right. That makes so much sense. And I had to choose to change how I looked at a certain person in a situation, because you always act like this. You always talk like this. This is just who you are. This is who you've proven yourself to be. So why would I be irritated? Not to say that people can't change, but there are some people who don't see where they're wrong, even if you explain it to them, and they continue to act the way that they do. And you have to just make it up in your mind and say, you know what, this is how they are. I'm just going to accept that. That was the hardest thing ever for me. I think I said that on like my second video. I can't stand this is just who I am type of person, because I just feel like you should be able to change, because if the shoe was on the other foot and I came at you with this is just who I am, then it would be a problem. Now it's, Jahira, you need to change. But everybody else feel like, they can just continue being who they are. But you have to understand that, being that as a Christian, I have to change my outlook. So it puts me in positions where I do have to be the bigger person. And I do have to love people in spite of. And that's something that was like the hardest concept for me to grasp because it made no common sense to me. Like, why do I have to be a bigger person in a situation that I didn't even create? Like, why do I have to show grace to somebody? You know, God's grace is sufficient. Jahira's is not. But I've gotten to a place where it is. And it sucks when you don't always get that back from people, but you just have to continue to be that light because you don't know who how you loving somebody, because the Bible says that love covers a multitude of sin. So if you are loving somebody in spite of them being who they are on a regular basis, when situations come up, who's to say that the love that you show them won't cause them to change, won't cause them to have a change in their heart posture, so that now they act more how you desire for them to act. But you have to change your perspective. I don't think it is up. I just turned it up now. But what was I about to say? And hey, by the way. But what was I saying? Oh, you have to change your perspective about the way you view things, because a lot of times we can find ourselves irritated and just ultimately annoyed by people, but this is who they are. And sometimes I found myself like, I'll go into a place and I'll be like, oh, I don't even want to go here because I know they finna get on my nerves. I know they finna say something, or just creating scenarios in your head that haven't even happened yet. The stuff hasn't even happened and you sitting here irritated, where you could have just been like, you know what, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna have a smile on my face, and even if they do act like such and such, it's cool. I'll get up. Okay. And what's I about to say? Oh yeah, so you can just change how you look at stuff, how you go into a situation. Then now a lot of times I'll pray. If I know that a lot of times the people I'm around, they might irritate me, or they're starting to get to a place where they're irritating me, I just pray, God, help me, give me the peace, give me the fortitude to go in here and not have an attitude and not say anything out the way. Let this conversation go smooth. Let me do what it is that I need to do so I can go. Let it just be a friendly conversation. Let it just be a good vibe when I go in here. In Jesus' name I pray, man. And you just have to be real intentional. When the Bible says to pray without ceasing, it's literally for every small thing, not just the big stuff, but the small stuff. You have to pray that your heart posture is pure when you go into certain situations, because a lot of times we be irritated and it don't even be the person, it be us, because we already had in our heart and in our mind that we're going to be upset. So out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And you know, if you think this stuff, because life and death is in the power of the tongue, so you speaking that you finna have a bad encounter with somebody, and it causes you to have a bad encounter because you spoke that over yourself. You spoke that over your day. If you complain about something being wrong with your car all the time, and you constantly speaking it when it could be something small, instead of just praying, God, help me, keep me covered in this vehicle. I bind up any type of vehicular malfunctions. God, don't let me get pulled over. Don't let me get a ticket. Stuff simple like that. Instead of speaking down or speaking death into your situation, now your transmission go out and you mad, but you've been speaking about, oh, I can't stand this car. This car's so raggedy. I'm so sick and tired of this car. Well, you could have been praying that God would cover you until you were able to get it fixed. And I've been in a situation like that, and God covered me in my car. I just knew my car was finna put me down on the side of the road, but God covered me. And I was so grateful. So grateful. Or he'll make a way for you to provide when you don't see a way that you could, because he's just good like that. He's just God like that. But you have to choose how you're going to talk in certain situations, because we be speaking so much death to ourselves, and it's ridiculous. We speak so much death to our situations, and we could have life in a situation, but because, and then another thing too, you have to be careful who you're around when you are in a down space. I talked about having godly connections, maybe the first episode, I want to say. You have to watch who you talk to and who you surround yourself with, because if you're around people who are always speaking negatively about their own situations and about yours, then they're not going to be the people that you want to go to and associate yourself with when you're going through it. You might just want to talk to God in that season, because people will speak death on you as well, and then that's a curse that you got to break up. That's a word curse that they've caused, and now that's something that you got to come up against. That's extra warfare that you're dealing with that you didn't even have to. If you had to just watch who you were talking to. If you see, another thing, you have to choose to be quiet sometimes. One of the words Pastor gave us is that we had to Be quiet. And I'm like, oh, child. I don't know if that's for me, Jesus, because I talk a lot and I be so excited to talk to people about stuff, but you have to watch who you talk to because they'll hinder your blessings because in their mind, and then, like I said, because it's in their heart that they don't believe that something good can happen for you, now they done shot it down and they done hired, the enemy to work adversely against the blessings that you want God to give you. And what's for you is going to be for you. But like what I'm saying is you'll have extra warfare that you have to go through until you can get to the blessing. Whereas if you had to just be quiet in that season, if you had to chose to be quiet, then you would have accessed your blessing quicker and without as much strife. So you have to choose. You have to just be real intentional. Intentionality is so key. You have to watch who you talk to, watch who you surround yourself with, for one. You have to choose constantly to be around people who do make you happy, who make you feel appreciated, who make you feel valued when you are going through something, who are able to speak a word of life into you instead of speaking, like I said, instead of speaking death or speaking negatively, because that impacts your happiness as well. People don't always realize that even though you're supposed to be an individual and find your own happiness, a lot of times our relationships with people can make or break us and make us happy or make us sad. And depending on how strong you are mentally, that'll cause you to shut down for a good little minute until you're able to find your way back to happiness. And the most important thing I found is just my relationship with God. That's the biggest key to me maintaining my happiness, maintaining my peace of mind. Because even though when I have off days, I'm able to go to him in prayer and I'm able to get the peace that I need. I'm able to get the love that I need. He's able to show me his love throughout the day and just minister to me throughout the day, even when I'm down. And I appreciate that and I value that the most about my relationship with God. And that's why I push God so much when I get on here. I'm never going to force you, to have a relationship, because it's a relationship. You can't make somebody be together. It takes two to make something work. It takes two to tango. But I'm telling you, man, if you just get that relationship with God for yourself, not your mama relationship, not your grandparents' relationship, not how anybody else feels their relationship with him is and how yours should be, but when you find it for yourself, it's not going to look like mine. It's not going to look like your pastor's. It's not going to look like anybody else's. It'll be your personal relationship. And that's the most beautiful thing that you can ever have. Because I'm telling you, when people don't answer the phone, or when they do answer the phone and it's not necessarily what you want to hear, if you're not able to shake back and get yourself in a positive mindset, just having that relationship with God, you'll just have so much peace that you didn't even realize that you could have in the situation that you're in. You could be in such adverse situations where you feel like there's nowhere to go. Like you can't even go up at the moment. You don't see how you're going to pay bills. You don't see how you could ever smile again. You don't see how you could ever love again. But God will give you such a sense of peace. And you have no choice but to choose to be happy. But you have to choose to go to God so that you can get that happiness, to get that peace. Because a lot of times, I know for a fact before I started really trying to grow my relationship, really trying to understand who God was to me in my life, in my situations. I get mad at God. I shut down on God the same way I shut down on people. I'll give people the silent treatment real quick. I ain't never got to talk to you again personally. If I feel like you done wrong me or you done hurt my feelings, I'll talk to you like in another week, maybe a month, depending on who you is. I don't know. Maybe never again in life. But I do God the same way, right? I treat him the same exact way. And I would have talked to him when stuff went wrong because I would blame God. I'd be like, God, why you let this happen to me? Like, why am I going through this? Why me? Why me though? And then you always hear people say, like, well, why not you? But then I really had to come to terms with the fact of, Jahira, why not you? Who knows the reach that you'll end up having? Who knows how you'll be able to help somebody else, even if it's just in a grocery store? You don't know. Just by you going through what you went through, by the time you get on the other side of it, you start to find real peace in your situation, that you're able to encourage somebody else that's going through the same exact thing, or who may be going through something slightly different, but the concept still applies. The peace will always be there because God will always be there. He said he never leave or forsake you. So the happiness will never leave either, because it says that the joy of the Lord is our strength. A lot of times I don't have the strength to do stuff. I've tried to do it in my own power. I didn't have it. I didn't have it. Energy spent, stressed out completely, not wanting to do anything. Hey, Maisha, how are you? Thank you. But God one thing I love about God is even when we put him on the back burner, even when we call everybody in our call log, we talk to complete strangers at Walmart, God is still right there waiting to have a conversation with us. All you have to do is make the choice to choose him. Choose him. And just see how your life will be turned around. See how much peace and happiness that you'll find by being connected to him. It's all about being connected to God. Even if you're not even going into a church right now, until you get to the place where you do find where you need to be planted at, just you having that relationship with God, just you pouring in to that relationship, because relationships takes work. So what does that mean? That means you need to be praying constantly. That means you need to be in your word so that you can find out, what the love of God looks like, what happiness looks like. Find scriptures on that. And I told y'all how to do this. I think it was last week. But for anybody who's just now catching the replay or tuning in, all you have to do is, if you need happiness, you need joy, you need to laugh, Google that exact word that I just said, happiness, and then type in KJV. A list of scriptures gonna pop up. You choose one that you want to stand on. And then if you got to say it every single day until happiness manifests itself, then that's what you do. But God's word is alive and well. He's not called the living word for no reason. So what does that mean? Even though it was written thousands and thousands of years ago, the same thing still applies. If you need God to be whoever you need him to be in that situation, that's who you call on. You can still pull on that. I talked on the names of God last week. For those who didn't see that episode, that was episode 6. It was called Who Do You Say I Am? So y'all could just go back and watch that. For those of you on YouTube, it's the video before this. For those of you on Facebook, just scroll a little bit. You'll see it on the Book I Won't Write podcast page, as well as my personal page. You have to call God at his word and just give his word back to him. And he's going to honor his word, like I was saying on last week, because he's not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he has to repent. So everything that he said in that Bible, it still applies today. So if you pull up those scriptures on happiness, you pull up those scriptures on self-love, you just apply those. You just say, God, I need you to do this. You said in your word, in whatever verse it is that you find, and God, this is what I need you to do for me. This is who I need you to be for me today. You just keep on meditating on that day and night until it manifests itself, and still you start to feel better. And that's the biggest takeaway I have on choosing to be happy. Just choosing to try God at his word. Choosing to see what he's going to do for you, how he's going to make you smile during the week. That's something I challenge y'all to do on this week. Just find your scripture and stand on it, whatever your situation may be. I believe I said this on the live last week. I'm not sure. But for all of my supporters, I am coming out with the book. I know I called the podcast The Book I Won't Write. And technically, I'm still not writing that book as of yet. But this book that I'm writing is prayer templates. It's called Prayer Still Works. So I have different prayers for different specific things. So if you're going through divorce, or prayers for marriage, prayer for regular relationships, prayers for friendships, childhood trauma, anything like that, prayers for peace. Hey Star, how are you? Beautiful. Because a lot of times, a lot of people, they just don't know how to pray, or they don't really have the words to say. And it's just a template just to get you started. And of course, just feel free to add whatever it is as you're reading it, as you're praying it. But I just pray that the book will bless you. That will be rolling out this month. March 31st is when I plan to have that out. So just be on the lookout for that, so that you can choose, to pray more, choose to have a stronger relationship with God, so that ultimately you can choose to be a happier individual. So that's all I had tonight. I thank y'all so much for tuning in. I told y'all I wouldn't be long. For those of you who are watching the replay, of course, just hashtag replay. Let me know that y'all tuned in. I thank each and every last one of y'all for tuning in with me week after week. I love y'all so much. Also, don't forget to vote for me 2 times a day for the Book I Won't Write as being the best podcast for the Girl Boss Awards. I will drop a link in the bio down below, and it's also on my page as well. So thank y'all so much for your continued support. I love y'all so much, and I hope something I said was of encouragement, and I hope y'all have a blessed night. Good night.